There is a person who lives inside you that you have never been introduced to. You have spent your whole life building someone the world would accept. Polite, capable, good, easy to be around. But underneath that carefully arranged surface, there is another figure, one you locked away so long ago that you have forgotten it is even there. Carl Jung gave this hidden figure a name. He called it the shadow, and he believed something unsettling about it. The parts of yourself you refuse to look at do not disappear. They do not dissolve because you ignored them. They wait, and quietly, from the dark, they begin to run your life. In the next several minutes, I want to show you what your shadow actually is, how it was born inside you, why it keeps appearing in the people who irritate you most, and how meeting it gently, honestly, might be the most important thing you ever do for yourself. Stay with me. This one goes deep. Let's begin simply. The shadow is not evil. It is not a demon hiding in your chest, waiting to take you over. It is simply everything about yourself that you decided, somewhere along the way, was not allowed. Every time a feeling of yours was met with shame, every time a part of you was punished, mocked, or quietly rejected, you did not destroy that part. You couldn't. So you did the only thing any of us can do. You pushed it out of sight, out of the light of your own awareness, down into the shadow. Anger, envy, desire, selfishness, laziness, weakness, sometimes even your strength. Whatever did not fit the image of the good you were trying to be got sent below. Picture a man who has been, all his life, the calm one, the reliable one. He never raises his voice. Friends describe him with the same word again and again: patient. And then, one ordinary afternoon, over something almost too small to name, he erupts. A rage that seems to come from nowhere. It frightens the people around him. And it frightens him most of all, because he does not recognize the person who just spoke. But that rage was not new. It was not a stranger. It had been living in his shadow for 30 years, fed quietly by every swallowed protest, every "it's fine" that was not fine, waiting for the single moment the mask would finally slip. And here is the second face of the same coin. Think of the person who is endlessly nice, the one who can never say no, who apologizes for things that were never their fault. We tend to admire this, but Jung would ask a harder question. Where did all their anger go? Because a person who has never once been difficult has not transcended their darker side. They have simply buried it deeper, and what is buried alive does not stay quiet forever. So where does the shadow come from? It is built, piece by piece, in childhood, and strangely, mostly by love. Let me explain that, because it matters. As children, we learn very quickly which parts of us are welcomed and which are not. We read it in a parent's face. We hear it in a teacher's tone. The boy told, gently or harshly, that big boys don't cry, learns to bury his sadness. The girl praised only when she is sweet and agreeable, learns to swallow her no. The child whose curiosity was treated as a nuisance learns to stop asking. We are not lying when we do this. We are surviving. A child cannot afford to lose the love of the people they depend on to live. So we make a trade. We hand over the parts of ourselves that seem to threaten that love in exchange for belonging. And for a child, belonging is life. But here is the quiet tragedy buried inside that bargain. The traits we disown do not leave. They cannot. They are us. They only lose their name. They slip beneath our awareness and keep growing in the dark unattended, unexamined. And a part of you that has no name is a part you can no longer see. And what you cannot see, you cannot choose. It chooses for you. This is why two people can live through the same hardship and emerge as completely different adults. It is rarely the event itself that shapes us most. It is which parts of ourselves we were allowed to keep and which we had to send into exile. Now, most people think the shadow holds only the ugly things, the anger, the greed. But Jung saw something almost no one expects. Some of the best parts of you are hidden down there too. He called this the golden shadow. Think about it. A child is not only shamed for being angry or selfish. A child can also be shamed for being too bright, too sensitive, too ambitious, too alive. The boy who is told he is showing off learns to hide his brilliance. The girl who is told she is too much learns to make herself smaller. And so they bury their gold right alongside their darkness. Here is how you can tell. Think of the person you admire almost too much, the one you idolize, whose talent or freedom or confidence stirs something in you that feels close to longing. Jung would tell you something startling. That intensity is not really about them. You are seeing, reflected in another person, a quality that lives in you, that you were never given permission to claim. A woman spends years quietly worshiping a bold, outspoken friend. She tells herself, I could never be like that. But the truth Jung points to is gentler and more demanding at once. She is drawn to that boldness because it is her own, waiting in the golden shadow, asking to be let back in. So shadow work is not only about facing what you fear in yourself, it is also about reclaiming what you abandoned. The gift you decided, long ago, was not yours to carry. This brings us to the strangest power of the shadow. Whether dark or golden, it has learned to escape by appearing in other people. Jung noticed that the things we cannot stand in others are very often the very things we have refused to see in ourselves. He said it plainly. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. So think of the person who irritates you the most. Not mildly, the one who gets under your skin in a way that feels almost personal, the arrogant colleague, the needy friend, the relative who only ever thinks of himself. There is a man who despises arrogance. He cannot bear show-offs. He will go out of his way to criticize them. And yet, the people closest to him would tell you, carefully, that he can be the proudest man in any room. He genuinely cannot see it, because the moment he buried his own pride, it could only return to him, wearing someone else's face. This is what Jung called projection, the film of your own hidden material, played on the screen of other people, and the clue is always in the intensity. A small annoyance is just an annoyance, but a reaction far bigger than the situation deserves. That flash of heat, that I can't stand people like that, is almost always your shadow recognizing itself in the mirror and flinching. It is humbling when you first see it. The people who trouble you most have been carrying messages about you the whole time. So what is the price of leaving all of this in the dark? Jung's answer was severe. He wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Sit with that. The parts of you that you will not face do not sit quietly in a corner. They steer. They choose your partners, often the ones who will wound you in the exact familiar way. They sabotage the work the night before it finally matters. They repeat the same tired story about who you are and what you are allowed to want. And because you cannot see them, you call the wreckage bad luck. You call it your nature. You call it fate. Jung did not learn this only as a theory in a quiet study. After his painful break with Freud, his own life came apart. He lost his mentor, his certainty, his sense of direction. For a time, he could barely function, and instead of running from the darkness that rose up in him, he did something almost no one dares. He turned toward it. He sat with the images and the voices coming out of his own depths, and he recorded them in a private illustrated journal that became known as the Red Book. He went down into his own shadow on purpose, and nearly everything he later gave the world, the archetypes, the concept of the unconscious, the path of becoming whole, was born in that descent. He was able to give others a map because he had walked the dark himself. Which brings us to the only real way forward. You do not defeat the shadow. You cannot. It is made of you. What Jung described was not killing it, but integrating it, bringing it back into the light of awareness so it can stop running the show from behind the curtain and become part of a fuller, more honest self. And you do not begin with grand rituals. You begin with 3 small, repeatable acts. The first is noticing your triggers. The next time someone irritates you far more than they should, pause before you blame them. Ask the harder question. What in me is this touching? Treat your strongest reactions not as facts about other people, but as letters addressed to you. The second is naming. The next time a reaction rises that embarrasses you, the jealousy, the pettiness, the want, don't rush to cover it with a better self-image. Look at it. Say it plainly to yourself. I am envious right now. A feeling you can name begins to loosen its grip. A feeling you deny only grows stronger in the dark. And the third is writing. Keep a quiet page. Call it a shadow journal if you like. At the end of the day, write down the moment you most wanted to hide, the thing you said that you regret, the admiration that felt like envy. You are not doing this to punish yourself. You are doing it to finally meet yourself. You know the moment this all points to. Late at night, when the day finally goes quiet, and a thought about yourself surfaces that you would never say out loud. Most people slam that door shut the instant it opens. The whole work is to leave it open, just a little longer than is comfortable. And this is not about becoming darker. It is the opposite. As Jung put it, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So before you go, sit with one honest question. What is the trait you judge most harshly in other people? And the harder one, what is the quality you admire so much in someone else that it almost aches? Because there is a real chance, in both of them, you are looking at a piece of your own shadow, asking to come home. Tell me in the comments. I read them. And if this found you at the right moment, subscribe and stay close. The next video goes deeper. Why you cannot truly know yourself until you have met your shadow, and what changes the moment you finally do. Until then, be gentle with the one who lives underneath.